When you think about fishing in the state of Mississippi, undoubtedly you think about the famous crappie corridor along I-55 of Lakes Enid and Sardis and Grenada and all those giant 3-pound plus crappie available there. But what you might not know about are the abundance of smaller state parks scattered all over this state. We're going to explore one of those on this week's episode. I'm glad you're along with us. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now. That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southwest region every week.
Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. Woo!
This is Let's Fish.
Well, howdy everybody. If you haven't done much traveling extensively around the state of Mississippi, you may not realize or know about some of the beauty and the scenery that's available in this state and some of the excellent fishing opportunities that abound all over the Magnolia State. We're going to explore a new one of those that we've never been to on this week's episode. I'd like to welcome you in right now to beautiful Lake Lincoln State Park. It's located just outside the city of Wesson, Mississippi, which is about 45 minutes south of Jackson, Mississippi. Now, this state park has got all kinds of facilities for camping and RVing and fishing, got fishing piers. Now, it's got lots of standing timber, hardwood trees, pine trees surrounding it. It's got some fishing piers, lots of shoreline accessibility in case you don't have a boat, and the lake is loaded with fish. We hope to catch some bass and maybe a crappie or two while we're out there today exploring. And while we're doing that, we're taking you around your local region for this week's fishing report from our expert team of insider reporters from lakes, rivers, and bays right near you, both saltwater and freshwater. See where you might head out to catch some this weekend. Right now, we're going to take the boat down the boat ramp, launch it. Next time you see me, I'll be out on Lake Lincoln, Mississippi, hopefully catching a bass. Right now, let's get things started. Back at the studio and your weekend planning.
Hello, these Salooner tables are predicting good game fish activity on both days this weekend. Peak times begin at 1:04 on Saturday and 1:39 Sunday afternoon. The best time to fish in the dark will begin after midnight at 12:53 on Saturday and 1:29 Sunday night. Depending on your local area, expect the sun to rise around 7:13 and set at 7:48, and evenings will feature a new moon. Stay with us, we've got fishing reports from across the area on the way. Plus, I'll return with Bassmaster Elite Angler Stetson Blaylock, who stops by to answer your Ask a Pro question.
There's one. Got one. Oh, he's swimming straight to me. Oh, darling. Good one. Big one. Slow down, darling. Slow down, baby. Slow down, baby. Slow down. What a freight train. Good Lord. Wow, look at this. How's this to start the day? What a powerhouse. What a powerhouse. Look at that. Holy cow. Oh, baby. Man, I got me a big one to start the day. There is you, a Lincoln Lake largemouth bass, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that big sow. Good grief. Well, we've got a good start. How about that? That's a easy, maybe 6-pound bass or so. Maybe even a little bigger than that. Pitched in around this grass, pulled it out away from it, and that one just inhaled it. He ate my Strike King Ocho. I'm going to put that fish back and I'll explain to you what we're doing here and a little bit about Lincoln Lake. Here we go, Lake Lincoln bass. You get to go back. Well, there you have it. That fish bit a wacky rigged Strike King Ocho. I'll show that to you a little closer at the end of the show, but that's a dynamite little bait for real shallow water like we've got, and that fish was right off that grass bed right there in real shallow water. Lincoln Lake, or I should say it correctly, Lake Lincoln State Park, is located just to the east of Wesson, Mississippi, and it's got a 550-acre fishing lake on it, which is what we're on. It's got several different arms and fingers and creeks running off of it. It's not just a round bowl, it's got a lot of character to it. The deepest water in here is about 25 feet deep, but most of the water you're going to be fishing here is real shallow. So we're off to a great start at Lake Lincoln. Let's see what else we can catch here before this day's out. Big old bass to start it with.
And welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by Rapid Reticle. With 8 Bianchi Cups and 5 World Championships, the founders of Rapid Reticle really know their optics, and they're offering you 20% off and free shipping with the code Lone Star. Now this week we've come to the beautiful Brazos River above Lake Whitney to do some sand bass fishing. The white bass here can be found on a bend that has some rocks. You're going to want to throw some kind of small jigs or rattle traps to catch these fish. Now we used a lead head jig with a plastic body, much like a crappie jig, under a cork. And you do it kind of like the saltwater thing. Throw it up close to the rocks, pop that cork 2 or 3 times, and wait for it to go under with a nice fat sandy for you. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes. Check us out on Facebook, Lone Star Lakes.
There he is. Got him. Got another one. There we go. Boy, they are mad fish on Lake Lincoln. They do not like me doing to them what I'm doing to them. There we go. There's another one. Hooked him right in the tongue. He's bleeding a little bit. Let's see if I can get that hook out of there where it'll stop all that. There we go. There we go. Another nice Lincoln bass for you right there. Beauty. And away another one goes. Well, I want to tell you a couple more things about Lake Lincoln. There's a lot of wildlife around here. Number one, you need to be aware if you're going to come put an RV here or stay in one of the cabins, there are a lot of alligators around here. I've fished around several of them back in these pockets and coves, so just be aware of that, especially if you've got little pets running around. So there's just a lot of beautiful wildlife and a lot of scenery around here. There's actually several of these state park lakes in the southern half of Mississippi. In fact, I'll just throw up a quick list of a few of them. And one of the ones is a little bit south of here, and it's down by Macomb, Mississippi, Percy Quinn State Park, and it's got another lake that's just about the same size as this one. So there are a lot of these dotted around here. They're just an excellent resource. One thing I will tell you is the bass fishing, the quality here is good, but you're not going to come and catch a huge number of bass here. I'll just warn you about that in advance. The fish here are a little finicky. These smaller lakes, that's one of the characteristics, is that the fish see a lot of lures when you've got a small lake like this. So they do get a lot of fishing pressure. And so you've got to use some, I'm using some kind of stealth tactics here. I've got this little soft plastic jerk bait that I'm throwing in here and twitching it along real slow. And I've got fluorocarbon line here so they can't see it. So I'm trying to be pretty stealthy about doing this. But you're not going to come catch 30 or 40 bass in a day most days. But the quality of the bass here is really good. Lake Lincoln, I am a fan.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury, Go Boldly, Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder, Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Plan or book your fishing charter at orangebeach.com. Motor Guides Tour Pro with GPS anchor, powered by Passion.
There we go. Thunder Cricket, get in here with me. There we go, how about that? There's one. Good bass. There we go. Thunder cricket, get in here with me. There we go, how about that? Caught one on a moving bait. Welcome back, everybody. We're in Mississippi today at Lake Lincoln State Park, which is a gorgeous place. And if you want to come catch some good largemouth bass like that right there, you can do that. And you can catch you some crappie, you can catch you some catfish. But I like that right there. Well, I'm kind of figuring something out. I'm catching some of these fish throwing toward the shore, but the fish aren't up against the shore. So I'm throwing this thunder cricket, which is a bladed jig that dives down, and I'm just slow grinding it. And there's some shallow water out here, and it comes out a couple of feet and then falls off into about 8 feet of water. And they seem to be running up and down that little ledge right there. So what I'm trying to do is kind of parallel it, quarter it, throw it about a 45-degree angle up into that 2-foot water, and then pull it off right about there to that 8-foot drop off. And that seems to be where some fish are holding. And I've had trouble getting them to hit a faster moving bait like this today. I've caught a few fish on a little small worm, I call it a trick worm, little finesse worm that Strike King makes. But this thunder cricket puts off a lot of vibration in the water, and that blade puts off a lot of flash. This is a cool bait to fish and a cool lake to fish too. When you just first drive up to this lake and you look at it, you think, man, the shoreline is about all there is to fish. And the longer I've stayed here today and the more I've looked around, the more different stuff I found to fish that's out off the shoreline. Let's see what else we can find out.
Hey, it's pretty unusual for a spring front to come through Oklahoma and give most of the state some rain, but that happened a few days ago, and man, we're happy about it. We really needed it badly. Now, I jumped in the back of the boat with Mike Taylor on Lake Tenkiller, one of my true favorite lakes to fish. And we found the lake up a little bit, so about 2 feet or so from results of those rains. Mid-lake area had some color to it. Down lake area was pretty clear. Most of our success came in the mid-lake area where Mike got into a really good pattern, throwing a Yum Dinger Bama Magic color rigged on a 3/16 ounce stand-up jig head. Most of those fish came out of 4 to 6 foot of water. Mike was throwing right up to the bank and just working that back out like you would a worm or a jig. A lot of fun fishing at Lake Tenkiller right now where you can catch them, but you can't catch them if you don't go.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors, making it easier than ever to gear up and have fun out there. Visit Mississippi, Wanderers welcome. Power Pull, Total Boat Control. Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders.
But I got back up here in a cove and started throwing up against the bank and caught a really nice one. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're still on Lake Lincoln in Mississippi, and I'm seeing a few crappie. There's one, got him on my active target here, and I wanted to come out and show you a crappie or two. Let's see, yeah, there's a crappie. There we go. I wanted to show you a crappie or two. We've caught some bass, and there's a Lake Lincoln crappie. That would be a keeper. No giant or anything. But I want to tell you a couple of things about the crappie fishing here. We're just outside of Wesson, Mississippi, about 45 minutes south of Jackson at Lake Lincoln State Park. And we've caught some really nice bass, including that big 6-pounder, the very first one you saw us catch on the show. But now I've moved out off the shore and I'm looking around for some underwater brush, trying to catch a couple of crappie. And I've caught 3 or 4, showed you that one. One cool thing is that the Mississippi Wildlife Department has come in here and put in a bunch of fish attractors, brush piles, some artificial, some natural, and they've sunk them in several different locations around this lake. And they've shared those with the public, so you can come fish the ones that they put out. Now, they're not marked by any buoys or anything like that. You've got to find them with your electronics. You've got to have a fish finder. But the GPS coordinates for those are on their website. You can catch some crappie, and that was one of them right there. I got right over the top of a little piece of brush. There was a crappie laying in it. I could actually see him on my Lowrance Active Target. I'm using my Fishing Specialties pole here, and it's got a transducer on the end of it. There you go. I can barely get it out of the water there, but I'm able to scan around and actually see these brush piles, these fish attractors, and see if there's any fish in them, and there are a few crappie scattered around in them. So I've caught a few, no big ones. Put together a nice mess of crappie if you want to, in addition to the bass fishing here at Lake Lincoln. Let's see what else happens.
Hi everyone, Captain Greg Verm here bringing you another Texas Coastal Fishing Report. Hey, I got my friend here, Captain Wayne Davis from Port Mansfield. He's who I get my reports from every time when I report on Mansfield. He's here with me today. We're at the Houston Fishing Show.
We've got some winds that we're contending with down in Port Mansfield, but it's not stopping the fish from eating, right? We're throwing Mansfield knockers or a topwater bait, kind of a new thing out there. Throwing a bunch of K-Wiggelos. We're fishing in about thigh-deep water. Even if it's muddy, those fish are still eating, but you have to be around those potholes and those grass beds. We're catching some really nice trout, not quite as many as we were pre-freeze, but we are getting some good ones. You just got to work a little bit harder for those trout. Redfish, I don't know when they're going to stop eating, but they haven't, because we're just catching a lot of redfish. Red fishing is good. It's sustainable.
That's Captain Wayne Davis, Port Mansfield. He's a man to go to if you want to go down there and do some fishing. He's about the best that they got down there. I'll see you next week. Captain Greg Verm.
Here's one. Got him. Out of that little muddy spot right there. Be a bass, be a nice one. Come up. Can't see him. There he is. Oh, it's a good bass. Good one. Yeah, we've got us a Lake Lincoln bass right here. Come here. Come here. What a nice one on my little trick worm right there. But I got back up here in a cove and started throwing up against the bank and caught a really nice one right up just off those patches of grass right there in front of us. All right, we're gonna let him go back. Thanks, buddy, appreciate the business. And away he goes. That's a beautiful fish right there. Well, you've got so many choices here to fish. You've got some roads that have got riprap along them. You've got a lot of brush and trees that are down under the surface of the water. You've got a lot of shoreline grass. You've got big pine and hardwood trees that have fallen off in the water. The choices here are just limitless. And so I pulled out my spinning rod and put on that little worm. It's got just a tiny little weight in the head, and hadn't been fishing it very long, and that one hit it. So you've got all this water's pretty shallow, really. The deepest water I found in the lake was probably 20, 25 feet out in front of the dam. But most of the rest of the lake is 8 feet and less, and a lot of really shallow cover right along the shoreline. And I'm sure these fish live in it pretty much almost year round without any real deep water to go to, without a lot of structure out there. So hang with us. We're having a great day on Lake Lincoln, Mississippi.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lose, Feel the Difference, Mamba Boats, Ride with Pride, Strike King, Tie One On, Glacier Glove, stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades, Fishing Specialties, makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right on to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Billy wants to know, what was it about fishing that got you hooked on it? For an answer, we asked Bassmaster Elite Angler Stetson Blaylock.
What really set the hook into me per se, as far as tournament angling and fishing in general, all the time, every chance I got was the competition. For me, I loved basketball at a very young age, but I realized that I probably wasn't going to make it very far in basketball because I was always small. And fishing was another way to stay competitive and just experience the thrill of winning and the agony of defeat. But fishing tournaments for me is really what got me into fishing and wanting to do it more and more and more.
Thanks so much, Stetson. If you want some help from one of the pros too, simply go to letsfishtv.com. Follow that Ask the Pro link to submit a question.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
It's time for the Right Stuff feature, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The Right Stuff if you want to come do what we did and catch some of these bass and crappie. And it begins with my first chance to use the new Team Lew's Signature Series rods, designed by some of the top pros on the professional tours. The casting rod is a 7-foot medium action designed by Kevin Van Dam. It's perfect for what we were doing here, catching these big old bass. And the spinning rod is designed by Mark Zona. It's also a 7-foot 2-inch medium action rod. I had the casting rod paired with the Lew's BB1 Pro bait cast reel. Again, perfectly balanced for this setup. And on the spinning side, that's the Team Lew's Hyper Mag reel. Again, perfect for this type of a spinning setup. As far as the lures were concerned, I caught a couple of bass on the Strike King Thunder Cricket. It's a bladed jig, as you see there. And then the plastic baits. I used the little finesse bait. That's the 5-inch Strike King Finesse Worm, paired on a little bitty lead jig head with just enough weight to hold it below the surface. And then I caught most of the bigger fish today on the Strike King 6-inch Ocho soft plastic jerkbait. I had it rigged on an open hook. That's about a 4/0 open short shank hook. As we've traveled all across the southern half of the country over the last few years, there's one comment that people come up and make to us that happens over and over again. They say, "We love your fishing show, but we really love that little part at the end." Well, that little part at the end is called Stuff That Matters. It's a project that we began 4 or 5 years ago that deals with touching people's lives right where they live with the things that matter more than fishing. Things like marriage, raising kids, social values, and faith. And the list goes on and on. Now, I love fishing a lot, but the list of things that's more important to me than fishing is even longer. We appreciate you watching our show, but we really appreciate what you have to say about stuff that matters. If you would like some more information on Lake Lincoln State Park, where we fished today and caught all those big old bass, you can get that information along with information on many other small state parks scattered all over Mississippi that also have great fishing available at the web address you see at the bottom of your screen. Whether it's Lake Lincoln here or any of these other fantastic Mississippi state parks, I think you would enjoy the trip as much as we did coming here. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes saying let's fish, everybody. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.